Hello, you guys. Let's talk about similar and congruent figures. All right, take a look at similar figures. There's a symbol in geometry and algebra that we use, and it looks like a wave, and that just means that two shapes are similar. And that means they have the same shape, but they're different sizes. So one looks like a copy of another, like you enlarged it. Okay, so one's small and one's big. And then corresponding parts is when we're going to match up the sides and the angles. And we're going to use the given information. I'll show you later what I'm talking about. Now, congruent figures, the symbol looks like this. It's an equal sign with a wave over it. And that's kind of like a super equal sign. They're exactly the same shape and exactly the same size. They are exact copies of each other. One's not larger than the other, they're exactly the same. Where in similar, one's smaller and one's bigger. Okay, so you definitely need to use colors to help you see what I'm going to show you. All right, with my yellow, here's what I'm talking about. They will give us given information. So this is saying that triangle ABC, the smaller one, is similar to triangle DEF, the bigger one. All right? And the symbol, that little wave, indicates that two figures are similar. So the first thing they want us to do is find the corresponding angles. We're going to match up the angles. But let me show you how the given information statement always helps me. So see how the first letter is an A? I put a red underline underneath it. And see how the first letter is a D? Put a red underline underneath it. And then find angle A is right here and angle D is right here. So mark them in red. And what that means is they match up. But what you're going to find, to make sure that the shape is exactly the same, these angles have to be exactly the same size. So look at how they wrote it. Angle A is congruent to angle D. That means they're exactly the same size. So if this angle was 40 degrees, this angle would have to be 40 degrees. Okay, and then we can match up the letter B. See how that's in the middle with the letter E. So I go over here, I use blue to mark the angle B is blue and E is blue. So this is saying angle B is congruent to angle E, and I mark that in blue. And then I'm going to use green and underline C and F. So angle C is the same as angle F. So angle C is congruent to angle F. And in this case, we can see they're exactly 90 degrees. Okay, take a look at number 2. The ratios of the lengths of the sides are equal. So that means if I set up a ratio of the sides that match, that fraction is going to be always the same, always equal. And that's what keeps their size and their shape the same. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Write the statement right here. Triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF with your pencil or your black pen. And now I want you with your red to underline the A and the B. And then find the side A to B and mark that with red. And then do the same thing. The first two letters on the next triangle are DE, mark that in red, and then use your red and match up DE like this. And so you can see that AB over DE would be 5 over 10. Okay, and now grab your blue. Let's do the next side. So I'm going to take the next two letters. From B to C, I underline in blue, and from E to F, I underline in blue. So go B to C in blue, and E to F in blue. And so from B to C, it's 3, and from E to F, it's 6. And so 3 over 6. And you know that 3 over 6 would reduce to 1/2, so would 5 over 10. Okay, now with your green, I want you to do this. With your green pen, go from A to C, the first and the last letters, and then with your green pen, go from D to F, the first to the last letters. So A to C and D to F in green. And then that would give us 4 over 8. Well, every single one of those fractions are equal to 1/2. Okay, so take a look at example 1 with me. Given triangle XYZ is similar to triangle UVW. So XYZ is similar to UVW. Name the matching angles and the matching sides. Okay, so the first thing I would have you do with your pencil is write the given statement. Triangle XYZ is similar to triangle UVW. And now grab your colors. And with your red, match up the first letters. So the X matches with the U. So I go to angle X and angle U, and I mark those red. And I just write here, angle X is congruent to angle U. Remember, they're exactly the same size. Now grab your blue and mark the middle letters. So Y and V match up. So angle Y and angle V match up. So I said angle Y is congruent to angle V. Now with your green, match up the last letters, Z and W, and mark them on the drawing, Z and W. So angle Z is congruent to angle W. So we matched up all the angles. Now start with the given statement again. Write it here in the margin with your pencil. Triangle XYZ is similar to triangle UVW. And now grab your colors, grab your red, and I want you to underline the first two letters. So XY matches UV. So X to Y with red matches U to V with red. So I wrote XY over UV, and then I put an equal sign, and now grab your blue and underline the next two letters, YZ and VW. So with your blue, go from Y to Z and V to W. And so YZ over VW. And then grab your green and do the first to the last letter. So X to Z has to match U to W. So X to Z has to match U to W. And so I put X to Z over UW. Okay, and so I matched up the sides. Go ahead and look at checkpoint number 1. Given STUV is similar to WXYZ, match the angles and match the sides. So again, the trick is start with the given information, right? STUV is similar to WXYZ. It makes it so much easier. And then grab your red and underline the first two letters. So S has to match W. So I put S and I put W. So angle S is congruent to angle W. And now grab your blue and do the next letter, T and X. So angle T and angle X match. So I wrote angle T is congruent to angle X. And now with your green, do the third letter, U and Y. So angle U matches angle Y. So angle U is congruent to angle Y. And then I grabbed a yellow to do the last letter, V and Z. And so I marked V and Z, and I said angle V is congruent to angle Z. Okay, now to do those were the angles. Now let's do the sides. So I start off with the given statement. STUV is similar to WXYZ. And grab your red and underline the first two letters, ST and WX. So I go from S to T in red and WX in red. So I wrote ST over WX, and then I put an equal sign. Now grab your blue and do the middle two letters, TU and XY. So I go from T to U in blue and X to Y in blue. So TU over XY. And now grab your green and do the next two letters, UV and YZ. So from U to V in green and Y to Z in green. So UV over YZ. And then I grabbed yellow to do the first to the last letter, SV and WZ. So I went from S to V and W to Z. And then I wrote VS and ZW right there. Okay, so take a look at example 2. Given ABCD is similar to QRST, find the ratio of the lengths of the corresponding sides. So we're supposed to write a ratio, which means it looks like a fraction. And they wanted us to match up AD, so A, the first letter, to D, the last letter, and I marked that with yellow. And then they wanted us to match up QT, first letter to last letter, Q to T. So from A to D is 8 units, and from Q to T is 10 units. So 8 over 10 would reduce to 4 over 5. And that's the ratio that's true for all the sides of these similar quadrilaterals. Okay, take a look at the checkpoint number 2. Given FGHJ is similar to KLMN, find the ratio of the lengths of corresponding sides. So again, I always start with that given statement. FGHJ is similar to KLMN. And then I went ahead and used red and I underlined the first two letters. So from F to G, I'm going to match up KL. So I went from F to G and K to L. So FG over KL would give me From F to G, it was 8, so I put 8 on top, and from K to L, it was 6. So 8 over 6 can reduce to 4 over 3, and that would be the ratio for all the corresponding sides of these two shapes. Okay, look at example 3, finding the measures of congruent figures, which is even easier because congruent means exactly the same shape, exactly the same size. So look at what they gave me. They said DEFG is congruent to, notice how that's similar, it's not similar, it's the congruent symbol. So DEFG is congruent to KLMN, and they want us to find from K to L. All right, so first thing I do is I write out the congruent statement. DEFG is congruent to KLMN, and they want me to find KL. So I'm underlining the first two letters, which means I have to underline the first two letters on the other shape. So I went from K to L, and I made that red, and then notice from D to E, I made that red. Well, since I know KL is exactly the same as DE, I know the distance from K to L has to be the same distance from D to E, which has to be 8 feet. They gave it to us right there. So you just match it and you use the label they gave you. Okay, take a look at B. They want us to find the measure of angle L. So the first thing I did was I wrote DEFG is congruent to KLMN. And then with my blue, I underlined the L, and I noticed that it's the second letter. So I found the second letter over here was E. So I know that angle L has to be congruent to angle E. So I marked angle L and I marked angle E. Well, the measure of angle L, that little m means the measure of. So the measure of angle L has to equal the measure of angle E, which they gave me is 111 degrees. So that's all I had to write. Okay, take a look at checkpoint number 3. Given triangle ABC is congruent to, so exactly the same as triangle LMK, find the measure of angle L. So I wrote the congruent statement. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle LMK. And since they want me to find L, I used my red and I underlined L, and I saw that it matched A, the first letter. So I marked angle L and I marked angle A. And then I told you that, or they told us actually, the measure of angle L has to equal the measure of angle A because they match. And since angle A is 58 degrees, angle L has to measure 58 degrees.